Proceedings of the day 2 with our first and a powerful panel on NBFC plus Smart Tech, driving forces behind the NBFCs in India. Before I call on the eminent industry expert panel members, few points of discussion that this eminent panel is going to talk on. The role of emerging technologies and strategic partnerships for NBFCs. Technologies offering a new paradigm for fintechs and NBFCs in India. Connecting the dots between traditional and new digital platforms in India, and why do NBFCs need to leverage advanced data analytics and many more. So please help me welcome with a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, the honorable panel members in the order of the sequence. Joining us first, Mr. Melwyn, Rebeiro, Director and Head of IT GRC from Julius, Baer. A big round of applause for Mr. Melwyn. So welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next in the panel, we have Mr. Sabyasachi, Senapati, Business Head from TrillionLoans, BharatPe. A big round of applause to Mr. Sabyasachi. So welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Ajay Thomas John, Group CDO from Shriram Capital. A big round of applause to Ajay ji. Ajay ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. Joining next, we have Karthikeyan Krishnaswamy, Co-founder and CTO KreditBee. A big round of applause to Mr. Karthikeyan. Sir, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Amit Toshniwal, Head Project Management and RPA, L&T Finance. A big round of applause to Amit ji. Amit ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. And I would like to call on the honorable moderator of the panel, Mr. Rajeev, CEO of LoanTap Group. A big round of applause to Rajeev ji. Rajeev ji, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat, sir. So looking forward to a great panel session. Rajeev ji, all over to you.
Hello, it's audible. So we have an interesting panel here. I think so. The rich people from the industry, and we can get a lot of insight in today's session. NBFCs and of course the technology part. Every day, all the panel people, including me, we are already suffering from that AI syndrome and other syndromes which we can say. And every day the sales team comes down to us and say, somebody is doing the loan at 2 minutes, can we do it at 1 minute? Somebody comes and says it is 30 seconds. Okay, so we as a panelist and we as a people who are from the industry are always burdened, okay, because we didn't imagine that a loan which used to take 3 to 4 days suddenly has to be done in 30 seconds, okay. So going by that, of course, the world is evolving, the technology is evolving, okay, and NBFCs have taken a front end, I can say an edge towards technology. So Ajay, I start with you, okay. What do you think? The strategic partnership for NBFCs and emerging technologies. So can you shed some light on it?
Thanks so much. Let me quickly introduce my brand before I answer the question as well. I represent Shriram Capital, which is one of the holding companies for the group of institutions. We are into lending, insurance, investments as well. So we've got multiple entities. Shriram Finance is the entity which is into core lending and things like that. Now, when we look at transforming lending, we see a lot of opportunity there where we are looking at transforming processes in the first place. I come from a very complex background where I'm also into transport finance, which is for commercial vehicles. I'm also into retail finance, which is like a two-wheeler and at the same point of time a personal loan or an unsecured credit product. Now, when you're looking at transforming products, what I also see is that the way tech is evolving, right? We've never thought of UPI from a payment stack standpoint scaling up so much. Now, across the last month, we've also seen that credit line on UPI being issued as well to banks, and that's something which is going to revolutionize how lending is going to work on. And we see a lot more opportunities coming up in this space. Think about scenarios where you can use generative AI in the future so that you would be able to further scale technology. Imagine chat on a call, you get a loan credit, right? How quickly can you underwrite? How quickly can you identify a customer? What kind of a lookalike customer is he going to be? What kind of profile segmentation can you do? What kind of data variables would actually cut across systems so that you'll be able to identify the right customer and give them the right price so that we'll be able to scale up at a much faster pace. We as a company are also going through a transformation phase where we're looking at One, the standardized process in terms of moving into more dynamic. Instead of treating all customers at one or one size fits all, we wanted to migrate into a process where we would be looking at typically scaling up personalized experience for each of those customers. And that's how data is structured. And the work for that is basically identifying opportunities where we would want to capture data, check out our fill rates, and then using legacy data. Now, while we speak, the Shriram group has completed 50 years in existence right now. And all the rich data which we've collected over the years, which is a mix of paper and paperless and digital, you're talking about multiple sources of data which is coming across the ecosystem. We do have a company for chits as well. So is there a golden record which is going to talk about all customers coming together? Can I use that information to give a better experience to my customer? And that's where tech comes into play in terms of structuring. How do you want to layer out this information, derive more sense out of it so that we'll be able to right price the product. So that's my take in terms of emerging tech. Areas which we also see is things like how do you operationalize stuff, right? I mean, RPA is one of the use cases we follow quickly. Blockchain, we've done something on the fixed deposit piece. We wanted to place our certificates on a blockchain. And then plenty of use cases for ML in terms of starting from sourcing to underwriting to, collections as well. So that's why we leverage technology, and I see that scaling up much further.
Good. Sabya, any comments on the exact thing on the strategic partnerships of NBFCs and emerging technologies?
Good morning, everyone. So I represent TrillionLoans, which is a NBFC as part of the BharatPe group. Right. So see, what we have seen in the especially last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, with a lot of fintechs moving towards lending, right? There is an increased set of partnerships between fintechs and NBFCs, and we see this across the board, right? If you see evolution of fintechs also, people who started with payments, they realized lending is the way to monetize the base, and they moved to lending, right? Even fintechs who started with wealth management and investment-oriented products, they have also started offering lending products to their customer base, right? So in the end, if you see, majority of fintechs are moving towards lending. They are looking at NBFC partners to help them in this journey. So the partnership between fintechs and NBFCs will only increase going forward. Right? Now, in our case also, right, we see there is an increased partnership with different fintechs where they play the role of a LSP. Now, there are different models at work. The models have somewhat evolved from industry, and now we see once the models are evolved, there is they are being sort of directed in a particular direction through the guidelines, through directions issued by the regulator, issued by RBI and all, right? So you would see the intensity, scope of partnerships increasing, but within a certain set of conditions and regulations that have been outlined.
Yeah, so moving on. So Karthikeyan sir, if you can let us know about the new paradigm of fintechs and NBFC as conceived to technology. So if you can throw some light on it.
Hello. Yeah, a very good morning to all of you. Just to give a background, at KreditBee, what we do is that we provide fintech services, financial services for middle class India, right? So that includes a very big chunk of around 400 to 500 million people whom we are trying to address in terms of financial services that we can provide in India, right? So that ranges from, let's say, loans and insurance and credit reports and et cetera, right? So if you look at technology per se, how this would work out is that this has been a thing that has been playing out for a long time, right? If you look at technology as such, it is probably more like a layered approach that you could see, right? The foundation was obviously internet, right? And especially in India, what happened is that on top of that internet foundation, 3G, 4G was brought in. And if you look at servers and all those things, cloud computing also brought in. That would be the second layer of things, right? And on top of that, APIs came in, which would be the third layer, right? And that's when, so each layer basically what happens is that it's a magnitude of order in terms of increase in terms of services or functionality that can be provided, right? So when you didn't have 3G technology, you would probably reach maybe 10 customers a day manually, but with 3G and 4G and 5G, you can reach out to now thousands of customers on a day. It's not even one magnitude, it's almost 3 orders of magnitude higher, right? And with APIs, what happens is that you can reach out to customers in India, you can reach out to customers anywhere in the world, right? So these 3 layers have been the foundations, right? And on top of that is when, the real advantageous services that got built up, right? As in if you look at any service now, API is there. As in earlier, probably 5 years back, everybody would say API connected, API connected, API connected. Now nobody talks about APIs because that's a given, right? These days people talk about, AI-based solutions, etc., right? So even if you look at AI, as such, it has been gestating for a long time, right? Recently, if you look at it, everybody is aware of ChatGPT, etc., right? That's become a household name. But in the technology circle, it has been running around for the last 10 years. But only thing is that it's a certain cusp or a certain period at which there is a tipping point at which these technologies become very mature and get very much adopted. So in terms of technologies, let's say that in India, what happens is that in respect to digitization, which has been happening, right, we are able to reach out to any customer who has a mobile, right? As in, so these days, KYC process happens entirely online, right? With the DLG guidelines and all those things, the KYC process is becoming more and more easier and more compliant, right? Which is required because we are dealing in the fintech space here, right? So the digitization aspect is definitely there. So on top of that, what happens is that the other technology angles start coming into play in terms of, let's say, the data analytics, the amount of data that you can collect, the behavioral patterns of the customer, and so on and so forth, right? So these things are basically, so technology is driving these things, right? You understand your customer better and better with the help of technology, and that helps you in basically providing better services to the customer, which is what we need, right? As in, it's like I buy a product, I need to be happy with the product, and technology is really basically helping us in delivering that happiness to the customer, right? In terms of, so in the fintech business, obviously there are both good and bad things, right? One is giving the money is the happy part, and even there is some pain because you are not able to give to all the customers, right? How do you reduce the pain for the customers also is that. So, so in terms of if you want to name the technologies, it's like API-driven onboarding, app-based driven onboarding, which everybody does these days. But if you go to the next level, it's like, let's say, fraud detection, right? How do I decide that this is the customer that we are intending that he is, right? As in, that's where the fraud detection controls come in, which are more technology driven. Rather than a person who is looking at all the KYC documents and doing, there is a face match which happens, and then we decide how that happens. So we have seen cases where a customer has put, the same photo for all the ID cards. Then that's again an alert. So that's a 100% match. So when there is a 100% match also, you cannot believe. And when there is a very less match also, you cannot believe. So you need to fine tune that. And this can only happen with technology, right? You take a look at VKYC or video KYC that is there. We do almost like 300 to 400,000 video KYCs on a monthly basis. It's just plain impossible to do without technology, with people on the feet. If you're doing that, I would be looking at almost like 5,000 or 10,000 people just to do VKYC alone, right? So technology again helps us in that, right? So in turn, on top of that, let's say AI and ML technologies that are there, chatbots are there, which is helping in reducing the number of customer support agents, etc., right? Which in turn is giving the intended result to the customer is provided. We can obviously do away with the manual connects, right? So technology is helping there, and obviously AI and ML models. AI in fintech is very much debatable because you wouldn't want an AI to go wrong and then disburse, let's say, 100,000 loans to customers, and then you have to go through the pain of getting it back. But you'll have to look at it a more controlled approach in terms of seeing, what would happen if this had run on these customers, analyze that, look at the vintage, and then try to roll it out across the customers, right? So in terms of disbursals, in terms of, collections, etc., all these things play out. So with respect to how the customer behavior is and so on and so forth. So without technology, frankly speaking, we wouldn't be here. right? And with technology, I think we will be able to go much, much further ahead. Thank you.
So, excellent, Karthikeyan sir. So, I always say that, when poverty strikes the door, love flies out of the window. There is always a fight between traditional things which we have seen in our lifestyle and the new digital platforms. Okay, so there's always there's always a saying. So people who are been in the system for a long time, they still believe that the traditional method was better. Okay, but now with the new platforms coming in, digital platforms. So Melwyn, anything which you can throw light on it?
Yes, so basically, when we are talking about digital platform, let's move somewhere like 10 to 15 years back. Say, I'll give you an example for a banking, because I basically worked in the banking financial services for a longer period of time. So say you go to a bank, you have to do a KYC document, just to get an account, then you deposit the money, then you have to withdraw the money. These are all cycles that are keep on happening, right? So 10 to 15 years back, the dependency was there. You need to be present physically at the bank. Now the same dependency today, I don't think so. Many of our young generation, what we call the Generation Z, they must have never seen the bank face also. They don't know who's working or which counter some person sitting. But if you go 10 to 15 years back, I would know the person there. Okay, this is the Mr. X who is there, who will give me this thing. But now it's there. So that is the amount of transition that has happened. COVID was one of the biggest examples where the innovation had happened. Like previously for opening a bank account, KYC was mandatory. Now we are on eKYC. We never have to do anything. You have an app, download an app, give the details in there, everything is in there, Aadhaar card, link it with Aadhaar card, everything is fine set in a minutes of 2 times. So it's more like a 2 minutes Maggie sort of a solution which is there. And if today the industry doesn't have that solution, people are going to move to the other ones. So it's a mandatory sort of a solution which people want now. If they don't have the solution, they are going to lose business. That is the amount of transition that has happened. That is the amount of innovation. That is the amount of digitalization that has happened. Be it for banks, be it for fintechs, be it for technologies. Today we are specifically living in an era of technology where AI, ML is dominating us. Quantum theory, quantum computing, everything. So I mean, the Generation Z is quite smarter enough to adopt those technologies, and we need to adopt those technologies. That is my take on that.
Excellent. I just to add what Melwyn said, I remember my mother taking me to the bank and remembering each and every person's name and what they do, what their children do and all. So, I was just talking to her on technology, and that time we were taking a housing loan, So I saw her going to the manager's cabin and discussing about her, and the manager said, "Auntie, आप sign करके चाहिए और document दे दीजिएगा, मैं loan disburse कर दूँगा." So I said, it was so fast. So they know it. Ajay, any comments from your side? Basically, because you have seen the traditional part as well as the new digital part. So any comments from your side?
So, moving from traditional to digital, right? I mean, when you talk about this kind of a topic, from a Shriram perspective, what we've done is we've decided these are the products which can be innovated. These are the traditional products which will continue to remain traditional. And at the most, you could look at digitizing, where there's a lot of complexity involved. Digital products which you could be directly innovating upon, which has a clean white slate in itself, right? If you can draw your workflows and then you decide what you really want to innovate, right? And that's the space which we look at parallelly focusing on. So over the last week, we've also launched something called as the Shriram One Super App, and where we brought in all our group products together. So what we wanted to create is basically a platform which will integrate all the services of whatever the group has under one platform, tied up with payments and rewards, right? So that we would be able to cater to our existing customers so that they at any point of time have the access to credit and also products. When I look at products suite within the group, we've got roughly around 80 odd products, which a customer would never even be aware, right? When you look at the number of products which a customer has particularly taken, he would always be keen on identifying and exploring what is available within the group in itself first. Obviously, he has a choice to go and scout everywhere, but this becomes an option for him to compare, right? So that's from a platform innovation perspective. Second, from a product perspective, what custom products, right? Retail credit. Can I break it down into sachet credit, right? And how do you look at further scaling it up is something which we've always been contemplating and looking at innovation. So it's two different products, two edges of the same. Commercial vehicle, it's a standard product, right? I mean, what would you innovate in that, right? It's a standard asset-based product. You look at what kind of tonnage is there, and then you look at giving a particular product. Obviously, how do you want to give top-ups, and the mode of operation for a top-up loan is something what we always innovate upon.
Excellent. Amit, anything you want to add between traditional and digital platforms?
I would say, first of all, I'll introduce myself. I represent L&T Finance. We are the top NBFC in rural and urban finance across products like two-wheeler, farm, retail, microloans. So in terms of technology, I would say we didn't start the fire. It was always burning. But then over a period of time, there were two things that mattered: customer comfort and speed. Yeah. And as a typical Gujarati guy in Mumbai would say, Dandara be niyam che, paisa banao, and kharcha bachao. So that is exactly what technology is driving. Paisa banana hai na, customer ko comfort do, customer ko convenience do, speed do. Customer will come to you. Paisa bachao, speed of execution in the back end, reduce redundancies, speed of work. We disburse loans in 7 minutes. There are people who disburse loans in 10, 20, 30 minutes. The speed at which the services are being delivered, the comfort from your mobile is what is driving. Now, mobile was always there. Today, Indian statistics says that per person, it is 2.3 mobiles. Now, okay, if it is that heavy a mobile usage, why not go mobile first? SMAC, social media, mobile, analytics, cloud. It has surpassed every other thing. Every kid today, Gen Z, like Melwyn said, Gen Z knows more about operating. I have not seen my checkbook. I don't even know where my checkbook is. I have not seen a bank for years. Last I saw was demonetization. जब वहाँ physically जाके पैसे change कराने पड़े थे. Otherwise, I have not seen a bank for years now. So that's technology, because as a customer, I get comfort, I get speed. And that is going to be the case. Today we order food online, today we order grocery online, everything is digitized. So if I have the comfort from my home, I spend my time in what I do better rather than taking time and going out to do banking.
Excellent. So coming back to the point, the new generation today doesn't matter about the extra cost, it wants the speed. Okay, the speed at which the loans are getting delivered, the speed at which your food is getting delivered. Okay, so there is a competition between the banks, the NBFCs, and the fintechs, basically to please the same customer. Okay, so Karthikeyan sir, what do you think? How does data analytics, this is a new topic, it has been going everywhere saying, we are doing data analytics and all. So from your point of view, what do you think? How can the NBFC leverage on this data analytics part?
Okay, so there is a very interesting analogy. So this goes back to almost like when my kids were quite small, right? She used to take something to eat. When you give them something to eat, they would be dropping, food across the house where they are going, right? So you can kind of trace your kid where they are by following that this thing. That's what we call in the modern day world breadcrumbs, etc. Right? So in the digital world, what happens is that whatever you do, you kind of leave breadcrumbs across the internet, right? Those kind of forms, you can connect to the dots, the breadcrumbs, and then you can kind of try to reach your person or identify the person how it is, right? So this is what that's in the physical world. In the digital world, that's what kind of happens. As in whatever activities you do, you kind of leave a presence or a ghost presence there, right? Which you kind of try to capture, and then you try to capture the next presence, and you understand the customer more and more, right? Another example is what you would do in Google or something like that when you do a search for, let's say, a vacation or some location, there is an inherent assumption that you probably will travel to that in a few weeks' time or in a week's time, and then the ads totally change with respect to what you have searched for, right? So these are some examples of what happens with data analytics. In our world also, it is pretty much similar, because as we talked earlier, what is happening is that people are moving, the technology is being used more and more, right? And with respect to that, there is a footprint or a breadcrumb or a digital presence that was being built upon by yourself there. As in, if you look up on the Google Maps, they would show that basically the places that you have visited, etc., right? And these are some of the data points which basically through our partners or directly through the ecosystem, the Android ecosystem or the iOS ecosystem, as Ajay was telling that most of us are on the mobile, right? So the mobile knows or captures your activities a lot more in a much more fine-grained way than what we even think about, right? And there is one more device which I'm just wearing on my watch, which is a wearable. At least the mobile stays away from me for probably 8 hours when I'm sleeping. This thing never leaves me, right? As in, so it knows the next level health and the aspects and all those things, right? So, and this is also evolving. As in, if you see 5 years back, you used to only have, let's say, a step counter. Now you have heart, step, oxygen, and then fall detection, blah, blah, blah. There is even a eSIM that has come in there. It's now connecting, it's pinging, it's pushing the data, etc., right? So these are all data points that keeps getting collected. So similarly, in the NBFC side, we also collect a lot of data points, right? In terms of basically, if you want to look at it, the number of apps that is there, etc., and all those things, right? So with these things, we create a digital person of the customer, right? And we understand what the customer is, right? As in, it's like whatever the shoulder measurements, etc., whatever is there. We kind of understand the customer's requirements, the customer's current status quo, how the customer's current status quo has changed with respect to the previous status quo of almost like 3 months or 6 months or a year, right? And things like that, right? So it's very much easy to find out what is the input rate, the rate at which he is getting money into his accounts for the last 3 months, last 6 months, last 12 months. We can also see what happens, for example, is there a sudden change in the customer behavior in terms of, is there a sudden increase in the appetite of the customer for credit, right? Which helps us in understanding whether actually is there a change in the behavior or situation of the customer. The customer is not telling us indirectly, but these are what we call it as side channel information. By very aspect of the behavior of the customer, we understand his situation, right? It's like if something happens, as in we get tense, and my watch would be telling me that the BP or heartbeat has increased. So that is inherently identifying that some situation has changed. So similarly, with data analytics, you are able to inherently understand the change in behavior or understand the customer better. What is the changes, what is the lifestyle he is going through, and we can better serve our customer better, right? As in, that is where data analytics is. Without this, you just are collecting data, and if you're not working on it, you wouldn't basically be able to derive these decisions or derive these conclusions out of this, right? So yeah, these are some of the things that we use data analytics for. Obviously, there is a lot more. I think Ajay is at CDO, so they have a lot different aspect of different things. Every organization has got its own secret sauce of identifying basically how the customers are better, etc. But that can only be derived through in-depth data analytics and over a period of time, understanding the customer behavior, match with the analytics, whether my inferencing is correct with respect to the behavior of the customer, etc., and then build up on top of it. Thank you.
So Ajay, Shriram Capital has a lot of data. It has seen a lot of time and all. So how the company is thinking about data analytics, and how you think you are able to data crunch and give the new technology inbuilt into Shriram?
So I'll put it this way, right? I mean, we've got data for 50 years. Now, customers who started off and customers who are born after 2000s as well. So, right, when I look at the horizon or the spread of the customers that we have today, we've got customers who are onboarded with us from the age of 18 from an insurance services up till the age of 75 for a fixed deposit, because we've got one of the best fixed deposit rates in the market. That's one of our best sellers. Now, when I look at this kind of customers who are there within the spread, what really works for me is that understanding what this customer is really doing, right? And when I want to really lend to a customer, now there are banks and NBFCs who are only bureau dependent, right? You run a program basis a bureau. Now, what we traditionally follow is that building a parallel model, building our own rule engines, saying that what kind of behavior does he have on our books? How well do I know about this particular customer? What kind of data variables can I capture about this customer? And how do I enrich this data further? I could use bureau for enriching it further as well, right? Or for example, it could be also alternate sources. Now, we are a brand which carries roughly 3,500 branches. Now, every customer interaction is also recorded where we look at capturing and enriching data as well, so that, you know, if there's a change of address, if there's a change of any particular information or contactability also. So we are stored in that kind of a way so that we would be able to use this information however we would want to, so that we will be able to scale, differentiate customers from what type of customers are, than having a uniform way of, you know, using a particular product for a customer. So we would be able to personalize. And that's the journey we are also looking at continuously evolving. We are not restricting ourselves to one approach. We want to get it as, not personalized, maybe hyper personalized as possible.
Yeah, so excellent. So now we move to something which we all say, transformation. You know, so the world is evolving, everything is getting transformed. Okay, the mobiles once were large, now it has become too small, now again it's going to be a large. So all these things we have seen a transformation in our generation itself. So just wanted to understand, Amit, what do you think? How does the digital transformation of course, the Indian finance sector, and you must have seen the ups and downs. Okay, so if you can throw light on it.
Well, digital transformation started with computers. At one point of time, there was a very much resistance to accept computers. We adopted computers, and computers have been evolving. Generation 1, 2, 3, I think it's generation 14 something that has come up now, all these devices. So if computers have evolved, speed of processing has evolved, the speed of recording has evolved, the data has evolved. In fact, with time, the consumer demands have evolved. So in order to cater to the demand, you can either improve your product or you can improve your technology, or you can do both. COVID was a very, very unique period where technology became so important because there was no physical proximity.
Yeah.
So even government relaxed norms, government opened up technology. Social media mobile became the basic necessity without which people couldn't do it. So banking became more of like, okay, digitized. I remember opening up my mom's account during COVID. Took 15 minutes for entire video KYC, account activation, everything. And she was like, okay, fast, I can do my shopping online. So it was pretty fast. Over a period of time, both hardware, software, consumer experience, everything has evolved. And evolution is here to stay. Somewhere, some people might be seeing Star Trek, some people must have seen the older version of Star Trek. I think Star Trek set the precedent saying that this is going to be your future. Your video artificial intelligence is there, your video assistance is there, and that assistant is speaking to you, you are banking with that assistant. It's here to stay.
Sabya, any comments on this, on the digital transformation of Indian sector?
So, like I think we've been discussing for the last few minutes. See, if I look at from a lending perspective, right, the way the loan journey has evolved, right? You're looking at few days to, let's say, a same day to, let's say, within 1 hour. Now we're looking at 5 minutes kind of a loan dispersal journey, right? So I think there are multiple things at work here, right? Obviously, one is your customer acquisition channels, the way you're collecting data, the way you're doing KYC. All of that has become very seamless. There are digital channels, whether you're going through apps or different portals for doing this, right? So I think that's one. Second is, the tech stacks have evolved. Your APIs that are available, which can configure different kinds of products, I think they have evolved to extend to enable, right? Plus, I think your underwriting has as well evolved to an extent where the data that you can collect through these different sources, through these different APIs, you are able to leverage that to underwrite the customer, right? I think underlying all of this is there is a certain public infrastructure that has also been created, right? With UPI coming in, account aggregator framework coming in, CKYC, other things coming in, right? So your digital public goods in some way that has been created, that has also enabled this entire thing, right? So, now going forward, while a lot of these things has been taken care of, I think the expectation obviously is, everyone talks about credit being under-penetrated in the country, right? And that's why you see there is a plethora. And that's why you see there are a plethora of apps and different entities who are trying to lend to you. And how do you better tap other segments, under-penetrated segments? How do you go beyond more conventional underwriting? How do you look at alternate data? How do you configure customized products or different variants of products? For example, earlier we only had, we used to have an EMI product. That was a standard. Then we moved to, let's say, there's an EDI product. There is an EDI product which allows certain offs as well, where you don't need to pay the installment, right? So how do you create
Actually, be a different world, So we have seen those Star Trek movies, and tomorrow we don't know, is it Rajeev talking or it's somebody like Rajeev talking? Okay, so all these things, and I think so, in the next panel, we will all be at our homes and we will be here also together. So it's all these things. So what do you think, Amit? How can we harness this rich capabilities of AI and, the blockchains of the world and the RPAs?
That's a very interesting topic. First of all, a lot of people think these are gimmicks and these are fun words. So let's play around. It's a new mobile in the market, let's buy. So everybody will say, let's buy ChatGPT. Let's buy this AI platform. Let's buy this RPA tool. First of all, these are great business tools. So that misconception that these are fancy words, let's remove that. Yes, it is here because across the customer life cycle, at each stage they add value. And that value may be in terms of speed, in terms of quality, in terms of efficiency. What they say is, पर्दे पे जो movie दिख रही है, उसके पीछे जो मेहनत है, वो background में. And that background is where the artificial intelligence, the blockchain and the RPA adds value. Speed, automation, RPA will bring. Artificial intelligence. Today, I think Google launched some new Gemini tool. GPT-4 version is there, which is a symbiotic in Microsoft. A ton of these AI tools are there. In last 6 months, over 200 AI companies have been registered in India with 1.2 billion worth of turnover. Suddenly, this money being pumped cannot be there without an ROI. And all the people and business leaders here definitely feel that there is an ROI in it. Because this intelligence is assisted, learned. It's like a pet. You're getting in a pet, you're grooming that pet will perform certain tricks. But it can only perform certain tricks which you teach it. So artificial intelligence and automation is behind the scene, speeding it up so that in front of the screen, you see the better movie, the better graphics, the better CGI, and the better output.
Excellent. So moving on to the next question, and a very important question, Melwyn. I think so. What do you think this the technology is actually disrupting the market, the finance sector? There's always a competition where a Karthikeyan has to always think, if he's doing in 7 minutes, can I do it in 3 minutes? And so I might lose some customer for 3-4 minutes. Okay. So what do you think? How this disruption is happening in the finance sector?
Raju, it's a very good question. So why for 4 minutes? Why not 2 minutes? Why not beat Maggie's record of instant 2-minute noodles? So that is the bar that will keep on raising. So I just wanted to just add one perspective over here. Today, banks are chasing you with so much offers and all those things. Think about a scenario, think about a world wherein you have a sort of an AI, say similar to an Alexa there, and she will give you the details. Okay, she will read your mind saying, okay, you want a loan right now, right? Okay, so these are all your these things and all these things. So she would recommend you, she would do the decision making on your behalf saying, okay, go with this loan, even if the interest rate is high, but it is worth to go with it. So think about a scenario where we will be going into the futuristic world. Currently, it's the other way around, but you will be there having more power to make the decision, saying, okay, this is what has been suggested, this is what has been done. So we are now going to live in that sort of a world going forward. So that is the innovation, that is the technology. I mean, you can keep on adding, you can keep on challenging Karthikeyan for not giving me a loan in 4 minutes, but tomorrow I don't need to get it in 2 minutes. The database, everything is there, CIBIL records, everything is there. My Aadhaar card, PAN card, everything is there. System decides, I decide, I need to go with this one. It's been done.
Yeah, excellent, Melwyn. So I was thinking time where, I was having lunch, and somebody called me, the sales team is calling me, so can you immediately approve the case? I said, I'll have my lunch and come down. So he said, nahi, tab tak to customer chale jayega. so I was thinking, so it's that space, So Sabya, any thoughts about it from your side? How is this innovation actually disrupting the finance sectors? Actually, it is taking a lot of, I think so, you can say the body weight from ours. Every day we see, the competition, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 12 minutes, So how are you coping up to it?
Yeah. So I think, see, the way I will look at this is, speed of dispersal, I think that's one element, right? At the core of it, what are we trying to address? We're trying to address a certain customer need around convenience, right? Convenience, need for a credit of a certain, of a certain shape and form, right? And that's how the products have evolved, right? Obviously, at 3 days, 4 days, 5 days was not addressing convenience. Technology came, different channels came, different players came together, the ecosystem sort of came together, and now we are looking at loans which you can disperse in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, right? So the bar has continuously increased there. But then what next? It is not only about, I think, the time of dispersal, right, or the time you take to disperse. There are other elements, other pain points around convenience and need that I don't think have been adequately addressed, right? For example, just before, like when you're having our chat in the speaker lounge, we were discussing about how few entities can be very aggressive in acquiring customers, right? Now, and we have all experienced this. We get calls from one entity or the other, whether NBFC or a bank, saying, do you need a personal loan? We have this offer, we have this, blah, 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 right? Now, the point is, do we know at what point of the journey does a customer need a credit, right? This has been very, push-based kind of mechanism. Instead of saying moving to a very, non-invasive mechanism where we're able to figure out at certain points of the journey, customer needs a credit. We have a lot of data points around the customer, including now a lot of the alternate data points. We are able to smartly underwrite, have pre-approved offers, so that at whatever point a customer needs a credit, we are there with the product already available, right? Already a packaged product available which you can offer to the customer, right? So I think around underwriting, around being there at the right moment for addressing the customer needs, I think there we still need to evolve. And there I see again, technology and some of the other players in the market evolving to help sort of address that.
Yeah, excellent. Ajay, any comments from your side? How is this disruption happening at Shriram on the innovation side? Yeah.
So, I mean, we are all going through an age of transformation, right? When I talk about an age of transformation, one of my comments would be, we've seen transformation for ages together. It's not something which is new. We need to adapt, we need to evolve. There are no other alternatives. Today we are talking about AI, tomorrow it could be something else, right? It could be cognitive AI, it could be generative AI, whatever derivative of it is. Now it takes me back to ages where one of the hard jobs during my schooling days back then was, once you complete your 10th standard, you do your typewriting course, and then there's something called a stenography, which people used to follow. And computers, once they introduced, was the first thing which used to steal jobs, right? And which is no longer the case. People had to adapt to technology so that they could evolve, do their jobs at a much faster pace, and then scale it up. That's the same thing which is going to be applicable to AI also. It is going to enhance the amount of work which is going to happen. The amount of quality which is going to be derived out of it is going to be significantly different. Now, to put it in context, it is a perfect blend of, I'll take an offside note here, maybe in terms of photography, if people are aware, there's something called as an aperture, there's something called as ISO, there's also something called as focal length. Now, a combination of all these three elements together is going to give you the perfect photo. And that's exactly what AI is going to be, right? I mean, you're going to have human intelligence. It's going to feed you with enough data so that you will be able to take the right calls, and at the same point of time, understand your consumer behavior better so that you'll be able to scale up further. So that's the logical conclusion which I see. So there's no point to be fearing about things at any point of time, because I see a lot of myth about people talking about AI, how is it going to cost. You, one piece of advice is learn it so that, you scale yourself up.
So on the lighter note, I had one of my relatives, he was going to see a girl and all. So you have to go and see it. Don't see the photograph. I said, why? He said, photos are can give you a different view. Okay, so we have the final question. Just if 30 seconds, if you can, everybody of you can shed light. How is this technology affecting people's lives? A lot of people, a lot of buzz around going on that, we have seen that phase where, the technology has come and, it affected a lot of people's lives. There's been a lot of competition among the players, sometimes it's a personal feeling that the customer it's ready to wait for the next half an hour. It's not like nothing goes or something happens. But, the kind of push which we are seeing in the system, the kind of, everybody is going aggressive, So how it is, if you can just shed some comments on that, Melwyn, starting from Melwyn.
I think so. Technology is here to stay and here to change people's life for the good. I'm not talking about the bad one, but it's here to stay for the good. So as innovation and technology evolves, people's lifestyle will also be evolving, and that there will be trends wherein there will be seamless integration between technology and the user, the end user. So that is what I feel like. So it is on the cards.
Sabya, your comments? Closing comments?
Yeah, see, in general, technology, any technology, if you see, is good, right? And it has a beneficial impact on people in general. And as new technologies come in and the pace of adoption increases, how the thing that will happen is it will become more invasive, which you're already seeing with some of these technologies, right? And therefore, then we'll have to create guardrails around it, around, let's say, data privacy, right? And some of this would be self-imposed by the industry. Some of this has to be driven through the right set of regulations and so on. So I think some of those things will have to play in. But overall, I think technology, as he said, is like here to stay. And it only has a positive impact overall.
Yeah. Ajay, your comments?
I think it's a beautiful era to be living in at this point of time. You're going to see rapid change. We've walked through the era which was crawling, then we moved into walking. I think now it's going to be running and flying, right? So that's what tech is going to enable us with. And when you talk about tech, I think there's no limit to whatever we could dream of. Whatever you want, you could achieve right now, right? So it's a possibility which will create a lot of product-oriented people to scale how quickly they would want to. So you don't, things which were traditional in function, it could be sales, it could be product, it could be credit, it could be risk, it could be whatever you're talking about is going to be, fundamentals are going to be technology. Basis that is when your decision making is further going to evolve, right? So the way customer interacts also is going to be changing. A lot of fixed costs are going away. You're looking at hybrid models from a workspace standpoint. You're looking at people working from wherever, and at the same point of time, the expectations of people are also completely changing, right? So unless or otherwise we are looking at delivering things to their doorstep, customers are not going to accept. And as long as we are able to manage that, nothing like it.
So Karthikeyan, you just said that in case the kind of work which you do will require around 5 to 7,000, 10,000 people, which you have actually taken their jobs out by introducing technology. So what do you think? Any closing comments on the technology part?
Yeah, so technology is a, I would say, is a great disruptor, right? It has both positives and negatives, right? When we say that so many things are reduced, I wouldn't have obviously scaled to that extent, right? But on the other hand, by virtue of giving so many loans or etc. in the system, we do have a much bigger workforce which is there, which is helping us in collecting the loans or doing customer support, etc. Right? So it is a balance. It is what is taken here is given away somewhere else, right? So in that ways, technology, when we look at it, so some of them look at it as a very this thing in the sense that, okay, this is going to reduce jobs, etc. kind of things. But with technology, what happens is that things get more and more complicated, and you need more and more people sometimes to handle it, right? As in, for example, now some of these AI models and all those things come. If you ask a human to explain what exactly the model does, they have no idea what is happening, right? So then once you need to understand, you need to put more people in it, kind of things, etc. Right? So it's a balance. With technology also, what happens is that you will need to also try to see how you can help the people who are slightly not up to mark with technology, right? Especially people who are slightly older or people with certain disabilities who are not able to access this. So you will need to look at how you can provide the services to that set of people also. That is one of the negatives of technology, as in you would be serving probably 90% or 95% or 98%, but there will be this 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2% who will be not be able to be taking the services. We need to look at how we can include them also with the technology that we have, right?
Yeah, Amit, okay. Your closing comments? I think so that is the time we have right now.
I'll just say, roti, kapda, makan pehle the, mobile ad ho gaya, internet ad ho gaya, aur cheeze ad hongi. Technology will only add. It's not taking away jobs. It's creating more intelligent jobs. That's it.
So that's all the time we have today. And it has been an interesting session. And, I think so a lot of insights have come regarding the technology part, the fear, which has been always there, the lot of discussions around it. But personal level, I feel that, technology has been always for the betterment. If you see the medical science, if you see other things, the human index, the kind of people, the kind of technology which is evolving actually helped humans. Okay, so I think so that's all, and thanks.
Thank you so much, and ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for this wonderful panel on NBFC and Smart Tech, Driving Forces Behind NBFC. I would request the panel members to kindly be on stage, and I would like to call on stage Mr. Srinivasan E, AVP for Business Growth from iSolve Technologies Private Limited. Srinivas ji, if you could kindly do the honors of felicitating our honorable panel members. We'll proceed and start with Mr. Melwyn Rebeiro from Julius Baer. A big round of applause to Mr. Rebeiro for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Sabyasachi Senapati from TrillionLoans, BharatPe. A big round of applause to Mr. Sabyasachi for his wonderful contributions in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Ajay Thomas John from Shriram Capital. A big round of applause to Mr. Ajay for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Mr. Karthikeyan Krishnaswamy from CreditBee. A big round of applause to Mr. Karthikeyan for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Mr. Amit Toshniwal from L&T Finance. A big round of applause to Amit ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel. And now we would like to felicitate our honorable moderator, Mr. Rajeev Das from LoanTap Group. A big round of applause to Rajeev ji for wonderfully moderating this panel session. I would request the honorable panel members to kindly step forward for a group photograph, and Srinivasan ji, you should also, if you can join them for the group photo. A big round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic start of the day too, with the first panel on NBFC plus Smart Tech. Excellent discussions we had in this particular panel by eminent panel members, wonderfully moderated by Mr. Rajiv Das from iLoan. And thank you so much, Srinivasan ji, for felicitating the honorable panel. Thank you so much.